content.
KLIF Dallas, KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth,
KLIF.com.
a Cumulus station.
Trump searches, Iraq attacks. I'm Christopher Cruz. President Trump gets back to the work of governing today after speaking at a big campaign rally in Florida yesterday.
This is a massive hangar. This is for the big planes. And by the way, do you think that one media group back there, that one network, will show this crowd? Not one.
The UN is warning that the start of the battle for western Mosul puts hundreds of thousands of civilians trapped inside their houses at, quote, extreme risk. Correspondent Ben Wiedemann.
Save the Children is saying that there may be as many as 350,000 children in western Mosul, and we've seen it time and time again. ISIS fighters will, in fact, take over homes with civilians in them and use them as, for instance, sniper positions.
American-supported Iraqi forces launched a large-scale military operation against ISIS today as it tries to regain control of all of Mosul, Iraq's second-largest city. I'm Christopher Cruz. Senator John McCain says a free press is vital, quote, to preserve democracy as we know it.
In consolidation of power, when you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press. And I'm not saying that President Trump is trying to be a dictator. I'm just saying we need to learn the lessons of history.
McCain on NBC being asked about President Trump's tweet calling the news media the enemy of the American people. The 18th largest lottery jackpot in U.S. history rolls over for Wednesday night's Powerball drawing. Correspondent Bill Michaels has the numbers.
No one matched all of the numbers in Saturday night's Powerball drawing. Wednesday night's jackpot climbs to an estimated $403 million. The last winning jackpot was December 17th of last year.
She was best known as the anonymous Jane Roe in the famous Roe v. Wade Supreme Court ruling handed down in January 1973. It legalized abortion nationwide. Norma McCorvey has died. She was 69. I'm Christopher Cruz.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
Attention! Do you have outstanding federal student loans? Then get ready for a special free offer. Graduate Service Center wants to give you free information to see if you qualify for one lower monthly payment or student loan forgiveness. The call is free, the information is free, and there's absolutely no obligation. See if you qualify for lower monthly payments or loan forgiveness. Call now. 800-801-4950. That's 800-801-4950. Don't wait. Call now. 800-801-4950.
The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the 5th floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, Texas. Welcome to your Sunday morning Inside Real Estate Radio, sports, entertainment, politics, all kinds of good stuff here today. Hope you're having a good day. We got a great show for you. Hey, we got a special guest today, as we usually do, the Deputy Director of TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation. Mark Williams is going to be on the show, calling in a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk to him about a few different things, kind of what's going on with TxDOT, also the centennial that's coming up. And, of course, all the latest and greatest projects that they are working on in the great state of Texas. By the way, did you know TxDOT is responsible for Don't Mess with Texas? Remember the old campaign that originally started with Willie Nelson way back when and still running strong today? That's one of the things that they came up with. Also, Click It or Ticket.
That's a good one.
I was about to say that one.
Yeah. But nothing really compares with Don't Mess with Texas.
I like that one.
I know. And it really kind of did get you mad and get you angry at people that were littering. And people that littered always ticked me off anyway, you know.
Well, and it kind of sets the tone for who we are in Texas.
It really does.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So there you go. There's a little tidbit about that. But we're going to talk to him a little bit later in the show. By the way, our website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, and of course you can catch up with all the stories that we put out in all the different categories. We kind of dig deep to try to find some interesting stories out there and all types of topics that you may find interesting and may have had a hard time finding originally anyway. So there's some great information there. Of course, there's great real estate information there, and all of our business partners. You can connect to us on the website as well. All of our partners of the show that are in home improvement, mortgage, insurance, and of course real estate. We're right there for you to connect with. If you're a social media buff, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Also, if you like listening to podcasts, we're on SoundCloud and iTunes. So no matter what your fix is as far as social media goes, we're there for you. By the way, we've got a lot going on with Twitter, don't we, Sam?
Oh, it's popping.
Yeah, Twitter's popping really big. He's been telling me how many gazillions of people are, doing this, that, and the other on the Twitter, and it's pretty amazing. So Sam's doing a great job with that. What else is going on? Hey, I wanted to mention this because I mentioned last week about investing in real estate, and actually I've mentioned it a few times. And I like to keep bringing it up because sometimes people think investing in real estate, there's so many hassles with it. They don't want to deal with renters, et cetera, et cetera. And so I talked about the program that I have, and it's a very simple program. You say to me, hey, I want to invest X number of dollars, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to go out and find an investment property for you that kind of matches up as best we can to the dollars you're wanting to spend. And so we actually manage the property for you. You become first lien holder. You have full foreclosure power over that property. Your investment is backed by that property. And so you're investing in real estate, and we have a set interest rate that we're paying you, just like we would pay a bank. So instead of Bank of America, being the behind the scenes on that property, or Wells Fargo, whatever the case may be, that's you. So imagine you, Bob Smith or Jane Smith, you are that position there, earning that interest on that property every single month. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention again. And by the way, this is no big, scheme. It's not some investment thing. And I was reading some stories, and we were talking about it before the show. There was another guy who ran a very successful radio show here in DFW, and was on the sister station, WBAP, actually, Bobby Guess, Dollars and Cents, which has gone through some legal issues, you might say, late last year, being indicted a few times on potential securities issues. So a lot of things going out there in the investment world, and you hear a lot of things out there in the investment world. Well, can that be true? Can that work for me? Is it, what are they doing? Is it a Ponzi scheme, or is this, that, or the other? You got to do your research when it comes to investments, but investing in real estate is solid. If you're investing X number of dollars and it's directly related to a piece of real estate, I mean, that is pretty obvious and it's pretty simple. And, it's not some big investment scheme or anything like that. It's very simple. We simply help facilitate a real estate transaction, and that's very basic, and it's very simple. There's not a gazillion page contracts on how you could or could not lose your money.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's related to that. So I just wanted to bring that up because there are a lot of investment options out there. People saying that they can do things, and some they can. Don't ask me how they're doing some of these things through the stock market, et cetera, et cetera. The stock market's a house of cards as it is, but this is very simple. So if you've ever thought about investing in real estate, we can facilitate that for you, and we can bring it down to a very simple level of how you can understand it. There's no complex machinery of, we've got 10 different companies that we're filtering money through, and these guys are paying for these returns that are going to these guys, et cetera, et cetera. None of that's going on. Your investment is simply tagged to a property, and you can see it, 123 Main Street, wherever it is.
You can drive past it.
You can drive past it. You can look at it, and you can drive by as many times as you want. Just don't stalk the renters.
Right. Don't go in.
Yeah, and then don't knock on the door and borrow a cup of sugar or nothing. You just leave them alone. But anyway, I wanted to bring that to you. So if you've been thinking about that, then by the way, we'll definitely take care of that for you. Hey, another thing in real estate related, I was talking to a client this week, and she had a friend. I've mentioned this before. She had a friend that was her real estate agent, And she just felt like her friend, and she had been working with her friend for about 6 months or so, and she told me that everything she learned in the conversation with me, which was an initial conversation, once we started getting her going, she learned more in the initial conversation, the initial phone call with me, than she had the entire 6 months she had been working with her friend, who was an agent. She felt like her friend put her at the bottom of the barrel and on the back burner, and just didn't put her interests first. It's like she felt like she was too busy for her. And so...
Well, she didn't treat her like a client.
Exactly. And we talk about that all the time, is don't mix family and friends with business. This is the biggest thing you're going to do. It's the biggest purchase you're going to make. The biggest asset you're going to own is your home. And so don't tie that search, that piece of business, into working with friends and family, because a lot of times that is what happens. They know you, and then they kind of take advantage of that to a degree that... Oh, we're friends,
Right.
I don't have to give them the full service. I get to give them the limited service because, it's Jenny, or it's Bobby, it's whatever.
But that's a lack of professionalism, Mike, and we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
If you're a professional at what you do, it doesn't matter who you're helping. You should help them as if they were your client, because they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, folks, you got to watch out for that, I would highly recommend, and look, your dad probably said this, your granddad, your great-granddad may have said this, your mom, your aunt, whoever, probably told you don't mix family and friends with business. And look, they're right, and I'm right on that too.
You're always right, Mike.
Well, a few times. I mean, statistically, you have to be right once in a while, right?
Absolutely.
I get maybe 1 out of 100 or something. I don't know.
We'll give it to you.
Thank you. Hey, we got a little bit of time for a couple more things before we take a break here. But hey, why don't we talk NFL for a second? Because we like to talk about that.
Woo!
Yeah. But I also, kudos to the governor, we're going to have to start calling him the governator, because he said to the NFL, hey, NFL, you mind your own business.
That's right.
He said, you worry less about politics here in Texas, and you worry about the NFL. And went on to say, you low-level punk in the NFL. How dare you open your mouth? And, by the way, does this low-level punk at the NFL, did he not know that we have the Dallas Cowboys, the most watched team in all of NFL ratings? So whenever the Cowboys are on, ratings go up nearly double.
Well, that's probably just because, number one, it's America's team, but because of the way Jerry Jones is running the team now.
Yeah.
I think has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, but even when we're losing and we're stinking.
Right.
We are the ratings leader at all times, and it drastically drops, and it doesn't matter what night of the week it is. It doesn't matter if it's the early game on Sunday, the late game, the prime time, nighttime game. It doesn't matter if it's a Thursday, a Monday. Cowboys are playing. We're the lead ratings getter, and in a year, and also really the last couple, 2-3 years, where ratings in the NFL have really actually dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're coming after Texas, where, we have the Cowboys, and it's the lead ratings getter. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and I absolutely agree with the governor, who,
there you go.
Hey, this really impressed me. He came out and said, you know what, NFL, you mind your own business, and I happen to really have liked that.
I don't know where corporations or how they even think they can flex on social policy like that.
I agree.
And force us to either toe the line at their demands.
Right. And agree with how they think it needs to be done.
Or go without their product.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm okay
exactly.
with that.
I'm fine without the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and with so many issues, and the ratings have gone down because they're going against, some of the things, some of their protests, in particular, some of their players and whatnot, going against conservative America.
Right.
We talked about the whole Kaepernick thing, and I still don't understand why Kyle Shanahan has decided to go and, take on that mess in San Francisco. But, John Lynch is going over to be the general manager. And, but I understand, they brought in Lynch because he is one of the few people that actually had a reasonable relationship with Kaepernick. So it leads me to believe that the ownership really was wanting to keep Kaepernick around, although they say that, of course, they're going to evaluate that and make that decision on whether he's going to stay around or not. But very interesting there. But, hey, good job, Governor, saying, hey, You leave us alone here in Texas.
Don't mess with Texas.
That's right. Don't mess with Texas. And on that note, we're going to take a short break. Folks, we'll be right back.
Employers, it's the 10th edition of the Cumulus Putting Texans Back to Work Job Fair at the Plano Center, March 15th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. With thousands of job seekers in attendance, 70 employers taking part, and on-air and online promotion from all 7 Cumulus stations. This will be the hiring event of the spring. And with our new aggressive booth pricing, this event will sell out. Visit PuttingTexansBackToWork.com today for more information or to buy your booth. That's PuttingTexansBackToWork.com. Presented by Mercedes-Benz of Plano.
If you're finally addressing your hearing loss, you know that custom hearing aids can cost as much as $5,000 each and are not covered by Medicare. The good news is MD Hearing Aid offers medical-grade hearing aids at savings of up to 90% over traditional hearing aids. Call right now for our exclusive 45-day risk-free trial and get free shipping and a year's worth of free batteries, a $50 value. Call MD Hearing Aid at 1-800-396-1380. That's 1-800-396-1380.
The Richard Tonihka Insurance Agency in Arlington has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the Richard Tonihka Insurance Agency Network. Richard can quote over 20 A-rated companies to find the best fit for you, the best policy at the best price. Call Richard today at 817-286-2002. It's the Richard Tonihka Goosehead Insurance Agency. 817-286-2002.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. And hey, by the way, we got such amazing high school football here in the state of Texas. You know what? We would be just fine. And we would argue that the officiating at high school football level is pretty darn excellent here. And, some of those high school games are better than a lot of the NFL games. Maybe that's why the ratings are, have been going down. But anyway, we can finish that topic.
And shout out to the UIL for quality product.
Yeah, absolutely. Another time. And by the way, hey, we interviewed head coach Randy Allen at the Highland Park, who was the state champion. Great interview with him a few weeks ago. And by the way, if you didn't catch that, this guy's such a class act coach. We talked to him, and check out the archive page on the website and grab that interview. By the way, we've spoke with a lot of head coaches before, and we really appreciate what they do because it's such a hard job that they have. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Hey, folks, it's time to talk to our special guest. We've got Mark Williams, the Deputy Director of TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, on the line with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the highways and byways of Texas. Mr. Williams, are you on the line with us?
I believe I am on the line, Mike. Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. How are we doing this fine Sunday morning?
We're doing well, and I just wanted to, just before the break, wanted to thank you for the shout-out to to Don't Mess with Texas. You were mentioning that earlier, and always try to get a plug-in for that from the standpoint that that's our anti-litter campaign. So most people forget that we have the trademark on that, but I heard that and just wanted to give a quick shout-out to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to mention it because a lot of people, you're right, they either don't know it, number one, or forgot about it. And I just really think that it's done so much for the state of Texas in so many different ways, not only kind of through almost pop culture, if you will, but also, the true purpose of it, which is, keeping our highways and byways clean and keeping the state of Texas clean. And so I think it was a great campaign. So I definitely wanted to mention that and let people know, because I agree they don't know it. But let's talk about what's going on in Texas today. We've got the Centennial coming up, and you guys have got so many projects that you're working on to kind of improve, the highways and byways of Texas. And hey, the thing is, great news. Our economy's great here in Texas, and we've got so many companies, that we're bringing into Texas. We've stolen a lot of companies out of California, and it's new jobs here in Texas. But part of it also is we're bringing a lot of those folks that were in a lot of those jobs from other states as well. And so our population is booming. Our traffic is just getting crazy. So tell us about all the things that we're doing to deal with that and deal with this growth.
Well, absolutely, Mike. With when people move into the state, they tend to bring their cars with them. they don't tend to bring their roads with them. So
right,
that's a significant challenge for us. We've got our population is expected to double in Texas by 2050. So if you kind of wrap your head around that, in that time period, that's a whole new Dallas-Fort Worth. That's a whole new Houston. That's a whole new Austin, San Antonio, and all the places in between. And so we've got to continue to invest in our transportation and invest in our infrastructure to keep up with that growth. And fortunately, over the last couple of years, the voters in the state of Texas, thanks to the legislature and leadership from Governor Abbott, approved additional funding to help us try to keep up with some of that growth. It was through Proposition 1 and Proposition 7 were the two ballot initiatives. Each of those passed by over 80% vote to provide some additional money for TxDOT, and we're beginning to put some of that to use in the Metroplex area with a number of projects that are going to be kicking off over the next couple of years, and hopefully begin to provide a little bit of additional relief to some of the growing congestion that I know you all experience up there just throughout the whole Metroplex area.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. You say they bring their cars with them. I almost feel like, well, we're going to have to be like China. You only get, X number of children. You only get to have X number of cars per household. And we're just going to have to start limiting these people's vehicles. That's it. Tell me.
We may be able to get away with limiting vehicles. I think it'll be hard to limit trucks, though. Exactly.
That's right. You get an exemption for that. And motorcycles, of course.
That's right.
Hey, let's talk about federal funds for a minute. How much do we really need? I mean, it's from the federal level. I mean, going to the federal budget. Look, they spend. Here's the numbers in front of me. We're spending only 2%. Overall at the federal level on transportation. And, we're spending, 33% on Medicare, 30% on Social Security. Mostly the rest of it's on military, and then of course we triple in interest, what we pay in interest than what we do on transportation at the federal level. What do we need help-wise at the federal level to kind of help the entire nation, just looking at it from that perspective, because I've driven on our highways all across the nation, and our infrastructure is just so old, and it's just ridiculous. And you look at some of the infrastructure in new and upcoming countries, and a lot of which they've received those funds and those money through working with the United States of America. What do we need there?
Well, that's a big question, Mike. As you pointed out, years ago when we built the interstate highway system, the United States was really looked at as a model for efficient transportation throughout the globe. It's been difficult to keep up with that pace, and you have noted that many developing countries are making that investment in their infrastructure, and that's going to have a competitive challenge for our nation. But at the federal level, one of the things that to just kind of be selfish and talk about Texas for a bit, Texas is the donor state, the biggest donor state when it comes to a return on our federal gas tax dollar. We send more money to Washington than we get back, and consistently we are the state that does the most of that, and sometimes we're the only state that is sending more than we're getting back, because the federal government has to supplement the motor fuel taxes that they receive with general revenue from at the federal level. So from Texas's standpoint, one important thing is to hope that Congress will at least balance out what we refer to as our right of return when it comes to getting our federal gas tax dollars back. And we get about around $3.5 to not quite $4 billion that comes back to Texas from Washington each year. And then, long term, Congress has really got to realize that most of the motor fuels funds that we receive come from gasoline taxes. And when I say gasoline tax, that's not a tax that's similar to a sales tax that is a percentage of the price that you pay, but it's a fixed amount of about 18 and a half cents per gallon, and it's been fixed like that since the early 1990s. And there's a thing called inflation that occurs, and that just does not bring in the same amount of revenue year after year as it did in the past. And so that's a challenge for all the states in order to keep up our transportation infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about inflation, and let's talk about the actual construction costs for a minute, of paving lanes. Estimates are kind of between $2 to $5 million, for a mile, nationally. And, to give folks a little bit of an example, back in 1931, building the Hoover Dam, $49 million. But that can only get us, 10 miles of pavement on a 2-lane road, nowadays. Let's talk about the components to it. I mean, we're talking about aggregate, we're talking about rock and sand, which is plentiful here in planet Earth, and water, and then throw in a little bit of cement mix, So for the common sense folks out there, let's talk about that inflation. Why should it cost so much to lay pavement when the ingredients to it are so plentiful?
Absolutely. Well, if much of our investment occurs in urban areas like Dallas and Fort Worth, and they involve a whole lot more than just laying pavement. They involve structures. They involve reconstruction. Being a real estate show, they involve right-of-way acquisition and utility relocations, and those can often be some of the most expensive components to the total cost of reconstructing roadways. And if you all, paid attention to everything that went on as part of the LBJ North reconstruction, that was just a tremendously expensive multi-billion-dollar project to put in all of the different components and the construction activities that needed to occur just to rebuild and reconstruct that infrastructure. And that's really what a lot of our transportation projects, particularly, again, in our metro areas that are really seeing the severe impacts with congestion, they involve some pretty costly reconstruction activities to make those upgrade those highways and add additional lanes and the capacity that the region needs, and that comes with a price, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Tell me about this. I mean, since so many of our highways and byways, we're starting to abut a lot of existing, strip malls, businesses, home neighborhoods, etc. What are the long-term plans, as far as dealing with some of that? And it's not just in Dallas, but in all markets, as the population grows. And, are we looking at double-decker levels? How are we going to deal with that in the future? What are kind of the long-term plans associated with that?
Well, each highway corridor, each of our major highway corridors, North Central, Stemmons, Interstate 30, those all come with their own unique challenges. And we certainly, when we realize we have to reconstruct a project in an urban area, we understand that you've got people's homes and businesses in that area, and we have to take steps to try to do that in as sensitive a manner as possible, realizing that what we may be doing may impact people's property adjacent to that highway. And so a lot of times we need to, as we did years ago with North Central, we have to go down below grade, similar to some of the work that we did out on the LBJ on the north side, going below grade to accommodate some of that additional widening that we have to do. It's becoming more difficult for us to, double deck our highways, as you mentioned. Most of the communities that we go through don't like that. They see that as kind of a blight on the properties in the area, and so that's a consideration. We realize that our highways have to coexist with the properties and land uses that are adjacent to them, and if done right, those highways can really be tremendous assets and features for that area. You can look at the Woodall Rogers and the Clyde Warren Deck Park that came in that the local real estate community invested in to build that deck park over the Woodall Rogers, and the positive impact that has had. But if you're talking about handling our transportation infrastructure going into the future, it's going to really involve more transportation investment than just TxDOT provides. We have to work with regional partner cities, our transit agencies like DART and the T and the Metroplex area to provide people with different types of transportation alternatives so that they can make choices on what types of options might be available for traveling and making their trips, and that's really what we're seeing more of is those options and trying to make those options available so people have choices on how they get around.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a daunting task for sure with all the population growth, and Texas is so huge and we're growing in such outlying areas, but those are all great things. It's a great problem to have because it means our economy is good, but at the same time, it's a tough task. But I know we've got amazing people down at TxDOT, including yourself, and I know you guys are all over this. And so tell me a little bit about kind of what's going on with the Centennial real quick as we wrap up.
Great, Mike. Thank you. We're 100 years old. TxDOT has been around, or what was originally identified as the Texas Highway Department. We have been around now since 1917, and we're celebrating that centennial this year. We're going to be. We've got some traveling exhibits talking about some of the history with TxDOT and highways in the state of Texas. We're going to be we've got a 1917 Liberty truck, an old World War I vehicle. Some of our early vehicles that we had to obtain came from World War I surplus materials, and so we've got a 1917 Liberty truck that's going to be making its way around the state. I believe it'll be coming to the Dallas and Fort Worth districts. We've got a district office in each part of the Metroplex there. It'll be coming to this area in April, and just really a lot of just celebrations, really thanking the citizens of the state of Texas for their support for the Texas Department of Transportation, because we don't build our roads, we don't maintain our roads without the support of our legislators and the citizens who really are the ones that provide us the resources that we have to make sure that we're doing the best job possible keeping our highways up to snuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it is a bit of a thankless job, because we all spend so many hours in traffic and whatnot, and it's kind of a thankless job, but it's such a tough job. But, with such a large state like the state of Texas, I honestly think TxDOT does an amazing job. And, they're always thinking forward on what to do next and the new projects. And, and we all can kind of have our headaches, in traffic and whatnot, but that is what it is. But, you guys are doing an amazing job. And thank you for taking some time to come on the show. And we hope to have you on again.
Terrific. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great morning. Hey, folks, we've just been talking to Deputy Director Mark Williams over at TxDOT about all things transportation here in the state of Texas. By the way, the full audio of that, if you just came in late on it, will be on our website, of course, this week, as all of our interviews are on our archive page. Folks, we're going to take a short break. We'll see you in a few.
Mavs fans, do you love bobbleheads? Then make sure you get all the Mavericks bobbleheads this season, courtesy of Dr. Pepper. Go to Mavs.com/bobbleheads today and get the best seats to all the remaining 2017 bobblehead giveaway games, including the 2017 Dirk bobblehead and the Dirk Nowitzki Rookie Year bobblehead. Save money, get great seats, see the Mavs, and grow your bobblehead collection. Visit Mavs.com/bobbleheads today.
Folks, it's Mike Kruizinga here with Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment on 570 AM KLIF. Did you know that virtually all of us will experience a fall in the bathtub at some point in our life? Well, statistically, it's true, and as we get older, a fall in the bathtub can spell disaster, as we just can't recover the same as we did in our younger years. Don't let something as silly and preventable as a bathtub fall put an end to all your special plans you have lined up for your golden years. Invest in a Hydrojet walk-in bathtub. Made in the USA and with the lowest step in the industry, Hydrojet walk-in tubs has your best interest at heart. With no commission sales staff or huge warehouse overhead, they build and sell direct to you, saving you thousands of dollars over their competitors. Call Randy, my friend and owner of Hydrojet Walk-in Tubs at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com. You'll be able to speak with Randy directly, and make sure to mention you heard about it on the radio. And for you veterans out there, there's a grant available for you to cover the majority of the cost of a walk-in tub, making it darn near free. Call Randy at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com today.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's
Hey folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. Website InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Time for another segment with our good friend and partner over at Hydrojet Walk-in Tubs. Their website, of course, is hydrojetwalkintubs.com. Randy Addington is the owner, and he's here with us today. Randy, how we doing today?
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. So let's get into talking about the product again. And, there's so many stories. It's hard to choose which stories we want to talk about sometimes, but there's so many stories of, folks getting taken advantage of when they're looking at a walk-in tub. And, so many times it is someone who is advanced in age, and they kind of get, a little weary, when they've got a high-pressure salesman there in front of them, and sometimes they'll pull the trigger for something that's just horrible for them. And we hate seeing it, and they get taken advantage of. But, you guys don't do that. You don't have high-pressure sales staff, and you guys are 100% integrity.
I like to think that we are definitely 100% integrity. The senior market is the most highly taken advantage of market there is out there. And I don't know why that is. I guess because there's so many of them. 10,000 people turning 65 every single day and will for the next 15 years or so.
Right.
So it's a market where, people without any integrity or character go out there and take advantage of these folks.
Yeah, and so often I think it's almost like they feel that these companies feel like it's just, like they're easy targets, and, that they've got some money in the bank, and so why not overcharge them and then have the standard overcharge on the overcharge and then a surcharge on the surcharge of the overcharge. And it's just frustrating for, good people like us when we see that happen.
Yeah, it is. When I think of some of the things that happen to people out there in their senior years, they've worked all their lives to get to a point to be retired and enjoy retirement, and then somebody comes along and just takes advantage of them for no reason whatsoever. And it just makes me mad. I think of if they did that to my grandparents, how I would feel.
Right.
And it happens a lot more than I like to admit.
Yeah, unfortunately, it sure does. Well, let's talk about, so when we're installing this product, in someone's house, what are the types of things that they need to have existing or are going to be willing to need to do? Let's talk about maybe sort of the run-through you go through when, identifying, can we install this product in their home or what do we need to do to be able to install? Let's go through those types of things.
Okay. Well, when we come out to your home, the first thing we want to do is find out exactly what the need is. Everybody's needs are different, but that being aside from what your house needs to be able to accept one of these tubs, first of all, we need to know where's the tub coming in through. What is the pathway to its end place it's gonna rest in your bathroom. So we want to know what is the opening, let's say, to that front door. Mm-hmm. Furniture and things like that, it can be easily moved and put back, but we need to know what's the width of that hallway, because we've got to bring this thing in. These things are a little bit bulky sometimes, and then going into the bathroom where it's going to end up being installed, we need to know the opening to that bathroom door, because in some cases that door has to be widened, or we've got to take the door jamb frame off to get it through. Then there's things like where's your commode, so we know if it's a left-hand door or right-hand door. Where's the plumbing in the existing tub? Sometimes we have to reverse the plumbing. And as complicated as all that sounds, it's really not complicated at all. That's just, and there's no extra charge for doing any of that. That's part of what we need to know to be able to do it.
Right.
Then we just measure the opening. But the two most critical things that I see happen with walk-in tubs for seniors that I absolutely think is wrong is selling a tub, installing a tub, overcharging for a tub when the people have a hot water heater or electrical panel situation that will not accommodate this tub.
Right.
When you install this tub, it needs to have its own independent breaker. Many installers will go out and wire it right into a GFI in the bathroom, or even an older home that doesn't have a GFI. That creates a fire hazard. It can trip a breaker. It's just not good. It needs to be independent breaker on its own. And if you don't have a knockout panel, then you will either have to upgrade or you just need to not put one in. On the other hand, on the hot water heater side, most people have electric hot water heaters. A gas hot water heater requires, you can get away with a smaller one, but if you've got a 20 or 30 gallon hot water heater and it's 9 or 10 years old, it requires more water to fill this tub than the standard tub. Mm-hmm. My rule of thumb is if you can take a 10-minute shower without running out of hot water, then you should be okay in this tub, because you use about the same amount of water in a 10-minute shower as you use to fill this tub.
To fill it up.
But if you don't have the proper gallonage of tub of hot water heater, or it's 10 or 15 years old, you might need to upgrade. And some of these seniors don't have the ability to do that or the funds to do that, and then they're being charged a ridiculous amount of money. You know, cheap is not always good and good is not always cheap, but you can pay too much for a product, right, for sure.
Absolutely. So a couple of the big things to think about when installing, we're talking about the electrical, like you said,
yes,
and then the water heater. Now, the competition is not really going to care about these, you know, particularly the electrical, which really scares me because it can be a fire hazard. I'm such a big person on safety and safety first. But so if they'll set this system up, they'll sell it to you. Oh yeah, it'll all work out. You know, we'll get it installed. Then when it's being wired in, if they wire it into GFCI, then or they just wire it in a way that, look, anything can be done. You know, if you've done any handyman work at all, or if you know that, your spouse has done any handyman work at all, anything can be done, especially with wiring. But should it be done? And is it a fire hazard? So they can wire that walk-in tub in for you, but is it the right way, and is it going to cause a safety hazard? Because sometimes they just don't care. A lot of the competition just doesn't care. And what really makes me mad is they just don't tell you about it. I mean, at least discuss it with the consumer and then discuss what the right action is. But they figure, oh, no, we can't tell them because they're going to lose a sale. So that becomes dishonest, in my opinion. And it's not taking care of the consumer, where that is 100% opposite of what you guys do. You make sure that they are taken care of, from the first minute they call you all the way through the potential sale and past the sale.
And the difference is simply this. When you're dealing with some company with commission salespeople, they're all about need to make that sale to make a commission. Mm-hmm. When you're dealing with us, you have a problem that we're trying to solve. We're not chasing a commission. We're trying to help you, and we're trying to get you what you need that fits your particular situation. So if you have a home that has some inferior electrical panel or not a sufficient hot water heater, we know that we're going to be around when you start having problems and you run out of hot water, or you have something that we're not going to install it in that situation because I'm going to be there to answer the phone when you have a problem. That other guy, 4 or 5 months from now when you have a problem, he's probably not even there. He's spent his commission. He's down the road.
Right.
And that's the difference. It's called integrity.
Yeah, it really is. Folks, I would highly recommend if you have mobility issues at all, if you're advancing in age, if your parents, your grandparents are advancing in age, they have mobility issues, maybe you're a disabled veteran, maybe you have a disability yourself, the walk-in tub is perfect, and this one in particular has the lowest step in the industry. It's made right here in America, has American certification, made in America, not made somewhere else and assembled here, made in America. And, of course, you're going to talk to the owners of the company, Randy and Sheila Addington, and they're going to take care of you. Their website is hydrojetwalkintubs.com, hydrojetwalkintubs.com. Connect with them, and they will absolutely get you and or your loved ones taken care of so they don't have that fall in the bathroom and lose more of precious time. Folks, we're going to take a short break, then we're going to come on back. We'll see you in a few. Folks, it's Mike the Realtor here from Inside Real Estate, and if you're not listing your property with me, bottom line is you're leaving money on the table. There are over 15,000 agents here in the DFW area, most of whom are part-time and do a few deals a year. Do you want to trust them to sell your home? I think not. Call Mike the Realtor, the radio realty expert from Inside Real Estate on 570 AM KLIF. Promise you will get to me direct. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Don't sell your home with just anyone. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com and connect with Mike the Realtor.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Permapeer Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Permapeer Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Permapeer at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapeer.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
Far from the shores of home, two African-American U.S. Army privates fight for their lives on the battlefronts of World War II. The first Black war correspondents fight to cover the perspective of the black soldier. The novel A Private War weaves all this and more into an epic World War II era story of friendship, conflict, religion, and redemption. Get a copy of Private War, a novel by Perry Cockrell today, now available on Amazon.com. And tune in regularly to Inside Real Estate Sundays 8 to 9 a.m. to hear Perry Cockrell, attorney at law, as he provides expert analysis of the latest and greatest in legal news.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Folks, we're back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com's the website. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Hey, I'm going to rapid fire through the headlines for us real quick. By the way, stay tuned. We're going to be talking repair escrows with Terri Waggoner over at Supreme Lending. So we got some mortgage talk to discuss. But before we get there, we'll throw some headlines your way, just some interesting things going on. Rapid fire. How about rapid fire 2 minutes for you? Hey, Pope Francis says Muslim terrorism does not exist.
What?
Time for a new pope.
That's right. That's what he says. He also says Christian terrorism doesn't exist. Jewish terrorism doesn't exist as well.
Human terrorism does not exist, guys.
So some very interesting things he was saying in this last go around. What else did he say? I wanted to mention this. He said, and this was interesting. The guise of what is politically correct or ideologically fashionable is hypocritical attitude, which is kind of what he says earlier on. He says there is no terrorism. So I thought that was pretty funny, very hypocritical in its own sense. So that was interesting. Of course, he's got to say some of these things because he's worried about, for example, what I'm going to say in this next story, Muslim terrorism against Christians in small pockets of Christian areas that are within Muslim nations. For example, if you heard about this was a couple weeks ago, there was, during a prayer service, actually, in Uganda, a Christian church was attacked by Muslims. 15 women were raped, and some were kidnapped, some killed, many beaten. And so things like that, of course, happen. And so I understand that the Pope does have to say certain things and be careful with what he says. I know he's trying to bring tensions down as it regards to Muslims against Christians and other nations, but at the same time...
But to say that it doesn't happen is...
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
Right.
You know,
because it does.
Yeah, I mean, if you're to a degree somewhat, you know, just kind of letting that go.
I'm in agreement of lowering tensions.
Sure.
You know, in our nation and across, but yeah, you have to.
But the tensions don't seem to be lowered on both sides, which is frustrating. Here's another one. Let's talk about the sales of products. Ivanka Trump's line of stuff, which was of course pulled by Nordstrom's and a number of other companies, doesn't really matter because they top all of the Amazon sales charts. They're in the top 20 of everything. The clothing line is way up. Fragrance for women is number 1. Some of their pumps and dresses are number 3 and number 5 on Amazon. So it doesn't really matter. Once again, we've got CEOs and corporations, major corporations, not in lockstep with conservative America and our core values of America. They're only in line with what's going on in Hollywood and in New York. And once again, just another example that people, for some reason, pop culture, the media, they're out of tune with conservative America, which is what we are. Folks, we're going to take a short break, then we're going to come on back, and we're going to talk some mortgage talk. Hang tight. With over 3.5 million square feet and 5 DFW locations, Ideal Floors has you covered for all your flooring needs. Whether you're looking for carpet, tile, laminate, wood, or vinyl plank, Ideal Floors has you covered. And with their price match guarantee and their 100% satisfaction guarantee, they are the absolute best in DFW for all your flooring needs. Call Kevin Hamus, the owner of Ideal Floors, at 214-789-0422 or go to idealfloors.com for all your flooring needs. When it comes to your mortgage and refinance needs, trust Terri Waggoner, our resident mortgage expert on Inside Real Estate Radio. With a wide range of financing options and competitive interest rates, you can trust Terri for a fast and reliable loan process with superior service. Go to terriwaggoner.com or 469-644-4818 today. Supreme Lending is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID number 207-089, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas, 75032. SML Mortgage Banker Registration, Residential Mortgage Loan Originator.
If you have a timeshare, this time of year you're probably thinking about those maintenance fees coming due. Hi, I'm Karen Holloway, owner of Lone Star Transfer, located right here in the DFW area. Before you pay your maintenance fees, call us for a free consultation, 972-722-3166. We'll get you out of your timeshare and put a stop to those maintenance fees, guaranteed. 972-722-3166 or LoneStarTransfer.com.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Hey, time to get in a little bit of mortgage talk. We want to talk about repair escrows. Terri Waggoner, her website, terriwaggoner.com, over at Supreme Lending. How we doing, Miss Terri?
Fabulous this morning. How about you?
Very good, very good.
Well, I thought I'd talk about the exciting subject of repair escrows.
Yes, let's do it. And these are important.
They are, because, you know, not everyone wants to do the rehab loan. Those are fabulous loan products.
Yeah.
But not everybody wants to go to the extent of that.
Sure.
So you can actually, and again, with the limited supply of housing that we have out there, the completely redone homes have 15 to 20 buyers putting offers on them, and it's a difficult task to try to get a executed contract on one of those homes.
Sure.
But if you go with a home that maybe, you know, needs some new carpet, needs some new paint, needs a little bit done in the kitchen, you know, maybe just smaller repairs, this is a perfect loan product for that. You can, if your repairs are anywhere from $500 to $5,000, can't go over $5,000.
Right.
But we can do up to $5,000 and pay it at closing. So depending on how we work out the numbers, and Mike and I can get creative on that, you know, whether the buyer's going to pay for it or the seller's going to pay for it. If the house is going to appraise, we may even be able to roll a little bit of that into the purchase price. So we can negotiate all of that with between the buyer and the seller. But that gets paid after we close. So you can do this on an FHA loan, a VA loan, a conventional loan, any of those loan types. You can you cannot do any type of structural work. So if it's foundation work, we can't roll that in. If you're moving a wall, we can't do that on a repair escrow. If you're replacing the roof, we can't do that. Swimming pool, can't work on a swimming pool.
And not to be confused with the rehab loans, because those are all things that we can do.
We can do all
on
of
the
those.
Rehab loans.
Yes.
So two different things, folks.
Right.
We got repair escrows, which is that smaller amount, like Terry's talking about, $500 to $5,000. Other things, structural, all that type of stuff. All that can be done.
Right.
But that's in the rehab product.
In the rehab
Right
product.
now, we're
not in
talking
this one.
repair escrow.
Right. This is a quicker solution to minor repairs than a rehab loan.
Right.
If you have a true full rehab, we can certainly accommodate that as well.
Right.
Okay. What we need to set up the repair escrow is 2 bids, 2 itemized, full, needs to be everything disclosed on the bids. And let me just caution on something here. One time I was doing a rehab escrow, and the customer provided me with 2 bids that were completely fake. They actually have to be real bids with real companies that are open for business.
Right.
Okay. So again, any documentation that you provide to your loan officer, make sure it's true and correct.
So you can't go to Office Max and get one of those little things that says invoice or quote and handwrite it in.
Because like this, like everything else, our underwriters verify everything.
Yeah.
And they should.
Absolutely.
So we have to have the 2 full itemized bids. We have to have the W-9 from the contractor because he's going to be receiving payment. Doesn't have to be licensed contractor in the state of Texas. Some states require that, but we don't. Then we set up the repair escrow typically at the title company. We'll hold those funds. Whoever's paying, the buyer, the seller, however the contract is written up, the funds will be held at the title company. The contractor then has 10 days to complete the work after we close. Everyone closes, everyone signs the loan funds, all of that good stuff. The contractor has 10 days to do the repairs, and then we send the inspector, the appraiser, back out to inspect the property to ensure that the work's been done in a good workmanship manner.
Mm-hmm.
Then the payment's made to the contractor.
And we saw a lot of these repair escrows back when there was a lot of HUD foreclosures.
Right.
So it can be FHA compatible. And we don't see a lot of HUD foreclosures right now.
No.
But a lot of agents don't know how to do them.
Yeah. There's still plenty of homes out there that we could utilize this loan program on that I don't think we're utilizing quite enough.
Right.
Because a lot of people want to wait to make sure or wait till they get in the house and then they'll do it themselves later.
Mm-hmm.
What a perfect way to do it. And to also ensure that the work that's being done is from a reputable company, because we're going to kind of check all of that out for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sometimes you take a repair escrow and maybe combine that with something that we can do with some of our vendors, like, for example, Ideal Floors, where we can get the seller to pay, Ideal Floors at closing. Ideal Floors will move out the pay, so no out of pocket. That wouldn't have to go to repair escrow. We use repair escrow for something else.
Right.
So combine those two things, or with some of the vendors that we work with, you could do quite a bit with just a repair escrow, and then maybe what we can negotiate otherwise.
That's right. It is really a great program. There's just a small fee if it's not a HUD real estate owned property. There's a $200 administration fee that goes along with it. If it is a HUD home, there's a $300 fee. I don't know why they set that up differently, but anyway. Okay. And then we have a minimum holdback also, because with most repairs, your contractor is going to give you a bid, and then, inevitably something happens and it's a little bit more than that. So there's a small escrow holdback that's applied to that as well, so that we make sure we don't go over.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, hey, this is a great program. And, of course, Terri has all the greatest programs possible out there. The amazing best interest rates as well. Hey, whether you need to refinance, whether you're looking at a new purchase, whether you're looking at a Texas cash out, you need to get with Terri. Her website, TerriWaggoner.com. Mention you heard her on the radio show. TerriWaggoner.com, folks. Hey, folks, another great week. We will see you next week. We're live every week, 8 to 9 a.m. right here on Cliff. See you next week. Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga are attorneys, CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show. If you need professional legal advice or services in any of those categories, please seek the appropriate professional. The host is a licensed real estate agent in Texas with the Chris Arnold Premier Realty Brokerage, a fair housing broker and member of the MLS. Texas real estate agents are prohibited from providing legal advice.